So in this life is all about understanding the principles that governs different aspects of life and deploying those principles, and then you will see the results. And that's the way it works. But now you see a lot of people will say things like, oh, all these things that are just deceiving us, all these people are motivational speaker, aspire to perspire, I read that book, I did that thing, it did not work, it's a scam. Two couples were doing what couples are supposed to do. They're having sex, they're enjoying themselves, they're doing what needs to be done. But couple A has 4 children 10 years later, couple B has no child. Does it mean that sex does not produce baby anymore? No. If couple B now say, you see, all this sex is a scam, sex does not produce baby, I sleep with my husband every weekend, it's a lie, sex is a lie, will they be right? No. They will be sincere, they will be honest, but they will be wrong. Many people don't realize that when we say this is a principle and you apply it and it does not work for you, that principle is not wrong. What it simply means is that there are underlying factors that is not making the principle to work. So you now need to find out the underlying factors and deal with them. If you are going to become wealthy, you have two options. You can either become wealthy God's way, or you can become wealthy through the worldly way. When you want to become wealthy through God's way, we call it the covenant way or the kingdom way. When you want to become wealthy through the world's way, we call it the Babylon way or the Babylon system. And what we need to understand is that the very minute you come into the kingdom, the day you give your heart to Jesus, the day you become a true child of God, you need to now do everything you can to ensure that you understand the kingdom, you understand kingdom culture, you understand how things are done in this kingdom, so that you will not fall into the prey of Babylon. Because see, in this kingdom, kingdom wealth is not acquired, kingdom wealth is entrusted. So in order for you to become wealthy in this kingdom, it will work on you first to transform you to become the kind of person that can be entrusted with wealth. Because many people do not know how powerful money is. There are many sins and compromises that will never come into your life when you are rich and wealthy. And you need to understand that when you are poor, you are susceptible to a lot of things. Now listen and listen well. Many of us think that, oh, I'm very, very holy, I'm very, very committed to God. It's because you don't have money. Sin is expensive. Hello? Sin is expensive. So, but when you have money and you don't have transformation in your heart, that money can mess you up and lead you to compromise. So it's very, very important for us to have clarity that when you come into this kingdom, you need to understand kingdom. Now, listen, the very minute you get born again, 70% of the ways that people make money are already eliminated. Once you become a Christian, you can't steal, you can't kidnap, you can't do bunkering, you can't do Yahoo, you can't do runs. So the very minute you get born again, 70% of how people make money in the world, you are already disqualified. Now the remaining 30%, do you now see why you must be very, very smart to quickly plug in and do what needs to be done? Because you can't steal, you can't do what they are doing. So you now find out that a lot of believers, because they don't understand what they need to understand, they come to church, they are sincere, but sincerely wrong. And you see good people that are poor. So we need to understand that there is a difference between the person of Jesus and the principles of Jesus. I'm laying this foundation so that we'll get it. There's a difference between the person of Jesus and the principles of Jesus. When you get born again, the person of Jesus gives you peace and guarantees your eternity. So when you get born again, you receive Jesus into your heart, you are transformed by the implanted word of God, and you are going through a process of transformation by the Spirit of God, and you are now a child of God. But that's the person of Jesus. But you see, when Jesus was on earth, he was 100% God, 100% man. And when he was on earth, he went from city to city, village to village, synagogue to synagogue, preaching, teaching, and healing. So all those parables, the teachings of Jesus, are what we call the principles of Jesus. So when he was on earth, he was giving us the principles to live in this part of eternity. So when you get born again, you receive the person of Jesus. All that the person of Jesus will do is to save you, transform you, and guarantee your eternity. But the person of Jesus does not prosper you. And we need to understand this. Now, what prospers you is the principles of Jesus. So the principles of Jesus are the principles that God, the Creator, has put on earth to perpetuate his creation. Please listen and listen well. Principles have nothing to do with redemption. As a result of creation, God is our creator. As a creator, he established principles for the perpetuation of his creation, and those principles have nothing to do with redemption. It has everything to do with creation and propagation. So what do we mean by that? When God created the earth, he spoke to the ground. He said, let the ground bring forth every herb-bearing tree with the seed in it. So when God created the first three, God did not need to go and create another tree anymore. Every seed that will produce trees forever was put in the first tree. So a principle was established. It's called the principles of planting and harvesting. So every time a tree is planted, that tree will have in it fruit. The fruit we have in it seed. The seed we have in it another tree. And that's how it goes. The same thing goes for everything that God created. When God now wanted to create man, he created mankind. Genesis 1:26-29, let us make man. The word man there is mankind or humankind in our own image, and let them have dominion. But he said male and female created he them. So in mankind we have the male and the female in mankind. In Genesis 2:7, the Lord now formed man out of the dust of the earth, and then took out of the man the rib and created woman. So the male and the female gender both come to become mankind. So when God looks at you, he doesn't see gender. He sees mankind. So whether you are male or female, you are a son of God. Do you understand that? Now, so please let's follow this. So what God now did is that in the man he put the seed, in the woman he put the soil. So the man releases the seed into the soil, and then there is procreation. So when God created the first man, he did not need to create any man anymore. Everything that will cause men to continue was put in the first man. Now I'm talking principles now. Listen and listen well. I hope you know that when these things were happening in Genesis 1, Genesis 2, there was nothing like sin, there was nothing like be born again. So these principles, hello, when Jesus was talking, when he was on earth, and he was telling them the parable of this, the parable of that, I hope you know nobody was born again then. So these are principles that has to do with the entire creation. So the rain will fall on the righteous and the unrighteous. The sun will shine on the righteous and the unrighteous. So whether you are born again or not, if you understand principles, it will work for you. So the problem we have is that when people come to church, the very minute they now get born again and they receive Jesus, they now believe wrongly that once they have Jesus, all is well. They don't need to do anything anymore. So with Jesus, I'm okay. So they now embrace the person of Jesus and they reject the principles of Jesus. So they are going through hell on earth on their way to heaven. But what has now happened is that the unbelievers that do not know Jesus, they have embraced the principles of Jesus. I've got 2 masters and 2 PhDs. So I've gone to school all over the world, and I can tell you for free, everything they teach in any management school, in any business school, they are all biblical principles. So what has happened is that the world has embraced the principles of Jesus and they have rejected the person of Jesus. So they are going through heaven on earth on their way to hell. But God wants you to have heaven on earth and heaven in heaven. So what God wants is for you to understand the balance. So as a believer, once you become born again and you have the person of Jesus, you need to now become a student of the word and a student of knowledge. So as you begin to study the word and you begin to read about different aspects of life, God now begins to give you understanding. The Holy Spirit begins to illuminate you, and then you begin to understand the principles that guides life. Whether you are born again or not, there are a lot of people that are not born again but they have children. They are not barren. They don't go to church. Do you understand? But why do they have children? Because there is a principle of procreation, and they apply the principle of procreation and they have children. You are born again. You are not sleeping with your husband, you are not sleeping with your wife, and you are praying. We don't need another Mary Magdalene. We don't need another Mary, mother of Jesus. The only Mary that needs to come has already come. So if you are not doing what you are supposed to do, it's not going to happen. I can come here and prophesy and say, this year is your year, this is your year. Even if I say this is your year, prophecies don't fulfill themselves. Prophecies are fulfilled by principles. After the prophecy, you must return to principles. So I'm laying all these foundations as we go into the laws, because many people are confused. They say, all these unbelievers, all this church are just deceiving people. All these unbelievers, they don't go to church, they don't pay tithe, they don't give, and they are prospering. Nobody on earth is rich and wealthy without the principles of Jesus. Everything they are doing is the principles of Jesus. They may not know Jesus, they may not acknowledge Jesus, but it's the principles of Jesus. So now let's begin to move into the laws. Now when we talk about laws, please listen. Laws and principles are universal. Laws and principles are universal. Laws and principles have no respect of persons. If you need to open a car and you are 57 years old and you don't have the key to the car, but a 12-year-old boy has the key to the car, the 12-year-old boy will access the car. The 57-year-old man will be locked out. It has nothing to do with, oh, God loves the boy more than the man. No, it's a function of who has the key. So in this life, it's all about understanding the principles that governs different aspects of life and deploying those principles, and then you will see the results. And that's the way it works. So when it comes to laws and principles, it's universal. It's without respect of persons. But now you see a lot of people will say things like, oh, all these things that are just deceiving us. All these people are motivational speakers. Aspire to perspire. I read that book. I did that thing. It did not work. It's a scam. It's not true. Okay, let's break it down. Listen and listen well. Principles are universal, but the application of principles are personal, contextual, and geographical. Principles are universal, but the application of those principles are personal, contextual, and geographical. So last year I celebrated 35 years in full-time ministry, and there are many things that I wrote a book called Ministers' Mistakes and Ministry, and shared a lot of things there. Now I've stood before the altar and joined people in matrimony, and while joining them in matrimony, I believe that very soon we'll do naming ceremony. And 18 years later, there was no child. And they were in church every week. We were praying, we were prophesying. And 18 years later, no child. And then there are people that will come, will do dedication. 9 months later, 10 months later, they give birth to a child. So now listen. Let's look at this analogy. Two couples comes before the altar to be married. Couple A and couple B are standing before the altar. Same altar, same day, same service, same process. And we pray for them, they get married, and they go into marriage. 2 years later, couple A gives birth to a child, a boy. 4 years later, couple A gives birth to a set of twins, 2 girls. 7 years later, couple A gives birth to another child, a boy. So now they have 2 boys, 2 girls. By the time they are celebrating their 10 years wedding anniversary, they have 4 children. Couple B, 10 years later, no child. Not that they got pregnant and had miscarriage, none at all, no pregnancy at all. They've done everything they know to do, no pregnancy. 10 years later. So now those 2 couples were doing what couples are supposed to do. They're having sex, they're enjoying themselves, they're doing what needs to be done. But couple A has 4 children 10 years later. Couple B has no child. Does it mean that sex does not produce baby anymore? No. If couple B now say, you see, all this sex is a scam, sex does not produce baby, I sleep with my husband every week, it's a lie, sex is a lie, will they be right? No. They will be sincere, they will be honest, but they will be wrong, because they are speaking from their trauma. They are not speaking based on reality. So many people don't realize that when we say this is a principle and you apply it and it does not work for you, that principle is not wrong. What it simply means is that there are underlying factors that is not making the principle to work. So you now need to find out the underlying factors and deal with them. Or whether there is fibroid, whether there is low sperm count, whether there is tubal ligation, whether there is hormonal imbalance. You do that, then the principle kicks in. But if you keep fighting the principle, you can go for 20 years like that, angry against God, angry against yourself, and then one day the man will say, I don't understand, oh. The woman will say, I don't understand, oh. This church is not working, let's go and try one baba somewhere, and then you're on your way to hell. So listen, Principles are universal, but the application of those principles, they are what? Personal. So we may all be sitting down here today, listening to the same word, listening to the same message, but we are not all the same. Nobody is your mate. You are in a class all by yourself. We may be age mates, we are not grace mates. We are not opportunity mates. We are not destiny mates. We are not knowledge mates. So there is nobody that is your mate. So don't compare yourself with anybody. So when principles come, you have to now look at your personal context. The interpretation is what? Personal. Number two is contextual. What is your context? Because your context is not my context. I can come in here right now and feel like blessing somebody, and I give you ₦1 million. And if I give ₦1 million to somebody right now, for somebody here now, $1 million will be a miracle that will turn your life around. But for somebody else, if I give you 1 million now, you will say thank you because you are owing 1 billion. So even if we give you 1 million now, you say, well, God, I thank you, but it remains. Context. Someone say context. So many times we are not facing the reality of our context to realize that, look, my context is different from this person's context, so I should not do it the way they are doing it. I should face things in a different way. I'm the global president of the Billionaires Conclave, a mentorship platform where I mentor business people, career people all over the world, high net worth individuals and family. And we have members in 26 countries on 6 continents. And we have events from time to time. We had one of our events years ago. A young lady came in, and when she came in, we're by the door, a few of us guys were just gisting and talking during the break, and then she walks in. When she walks in, the perfume that she was putting on was just changed the atmosphere. And all of us, we know, we're all wow. So we looked at her. She was decked up. If you know designer, you know. If you know, you know. The shoe, the bag, everything was there. So we just left it like that. The next day, she came into the meeting again, decked up. Question and answer time. This lady stands up and says, I want to ask a question. I said, yeah. He said, come, I don't understand. He said, my friend invited me here, and I've been here since yesterday. And I've been watching you people talk. I've seen people talking about billion in this same Nigeria. That because I'm wondering, and I know that you people are not fake, because I know that guy. I know he's a clean man. I know his business. That other one, even 3 years ago, he still borrowed money from me, and within 3 years, I saw that he started a business. But I'm seeing a chair. I'm like, what's happening here? Is it that you people are using something or something? I don't understand. So I said, well, you're welcome. I said, number one, let me start from your second question. Yes, we are using something. Everybody is using something. Just be sure the one you are using is the right one, because you are either in the secret court or you are in the secret place. Everybody is using something. I say we are using faith, we are using wisdom, we are using prayer, we are using prophetic, we are using fasting. So we are using something. I said, then to now come to your first question. She said that the whole of the year before, she did not even do up to 10 million in turnover in a whole year. And we were talking millions and hundreds of millions. So I asked her a simple question. I said, please, I want to ask you a question. Are you married? She said, yes. I said, is your husband a wealthy man? She said, yes. So why are you asking? I said, because when you came in yesterday, we saw you. Your perfume was heavy. You decked up with design. I said, looking at you now, even this bag is not the one you carried yesterday. This decor. Say, if I look at you now, you are like 5 to 7 million standing. So how can you say that in a whole year you did not do 10 million, but you are wearing 10 million? That's so. It's either somebody else is financing you. You either have a rich father or a rich husband. So he said, you know, women, when you start getting, so are you saying that? I say, relax. All this feminism, relax. Yeah. A transformed believer, relax. I said, so question. Who takes care of it? He said, my husband is it wrong for my husband to take care? I said, I'm not saying it's wrong. I said, but let me ask you a question. How many kids do you have? She said, 2. I said, if you were a single parent without a husband, and you have 2 kids and nobody to help you, I said, I hope you know you will do more than 10 million. I said, if you are a married woman to a useless man, a man that does not bring money, even the one you bring, he will now collect and go and give to a side chick because he's a side cock. I say, I hope you know you will do more than 10 million. I say, as long as you have someone to take care of you, you need a greater why to be able to push. Because every time you meet an obstacle, you will tell yourself, I can't come and keep myself. What am I even looking for? My husband is taking care of me. I said, that's why you are doing that. Says, what do you expect me to do? Should I stop collecting money from my house? I say, my sister, relax. We are not fighting. Cool down. Calm down. I said, now you need to have a stronger why. So I asked her, how old are your kids? She told me, I said, what you need to do now is have a plan now that by the time your first child is 18 years old, you want to hand over ₦1 billion, either in real estate or in fixed deposit or in treasury bills, or you want to hand over ₦1 billion to your first child when your first child is 18. When your second child is 18, you want to hand over ₦1 billion to them as a mother to a child. I said, let that become your vision now. Guess what? The next year, she did over 100 million. So what changed? Mindset. Because see, our context put her in a comfort zone. But if our context was different, she would have done more than she was doing. And now, by the time she changed her mind, she was able to move. So principles are universal, but the application of those principles, they are personal, contextual, and geographical. Geography matters. Oh, real estate is powerful, but not in Ukraine now. They are fighting war. So it doesn't mean real estate is not powerful. But if there is war in Ukraine, what do? You say, hey, we can't invest here now. When they finish, we will return. Hello? So there are 7 laws I want to run you through very fast. The first law that you need to put in place if you're going to become wealthy is the law of financial education, or the law of financial intelligence. The law of financial education or the law of financial intelligence. If you know better, you will do better. A lot of us are poor not because we did not go to school, but because we don't have financial education and financial intelligence. Schools don't teach financial intelligence. You can be a professor of economics or a dean of faculty of accounts and you are going on strike because they don't pay your salary. Why? Because even though you have PhD in economics, you cannot manage your own personal accounts. A chartered accountant that cannot charter Uber. So you find out that when it comes to wealth creation, academic education does not translate to financial freedom. So there is nothing wrong in going to school. There is nothing wrong in having the certificate and having the degree. But there is nothing good about having a great degree and still being a great degree of debt. So you need to understand that you need financial education. Financial education comes through personal development. You need to consciously, intentionally, and strategically give attention to learning about money, how to make it, how to manage it, how to multiply it, assets, liabilities, annuities, all the things you need to learn. You need to study and learn. By the time you keep reading and reading and reading and reading, you will become it. Because if you are a medical doctor today, you did not become a medical doctor because somebody laid hands on you and prophesied. You did not become a medical doctor because somebody gave you communion or they broke the altar of your father's house. You did not become a medical doctor because you did night vigil and you fasted. No, you became a medical doctor because you gave attention to a body of knowledge consistently over time. When you went in, you were ordinary. When you came out, you were a doctor. Why? 4 years, 6 years, 7 years of learning about the same thing transformed you. So you want to become rich, you want to become wealthy, financial education, because you have to become rich to attract riches. You have to become wealthy to attract wealth, and to become it, you become it by knowledge. So as you begin to know, the more you know, the more you grow, because your learning capacity is what determines your earning capacity. Number 2, because of time. Once you begin to learn, please listen, you don't ever graduate from the school of learning. The day you stop learning, you start dying. Because in this kingdom, we don't blow, we grow. So if you jump up, you will come down. If you grow up, you will stay up. So don't have this blowing mindset. We don't blow here because bombs blow, balloons blow, and they disintegrate. So we don't blow, we grow. Now, when it comes to law number 1, you don't graduate. There's no graduation in the school of learning. You keep learning and learning and learning and unlearning and relearning. Law number 2, the law of delayed gratification. The law of delayed gratification. When you look at Ecclesiastes 10:15 that we read, if we move on to 16 and 17, it says, woe to you, O land, when your king is a child that eats in the morning. And blessed are you, O land, when your king is prince, the son of noble, that eats in due season. Now, there is morning, afternoon, evening, and night in the seasons of our lives. But you need to understand that when you begin to grow through life, the money you make needs to be well managed in order for you to become wealthy. And one of the things you need to do early is to do what? To delay gratification. The law of delayed gratification. A lot of us are where we are today because our bungalow is in our wardrobe. Bag and shoe to match, yet your destiny is not matching your bank account. You are wearing both straight, your life is not straight. 3-piece suits, you have 3 mobile phones like a 419, and yet you don't have any investment in any of the telecom industry, because every day you are just wasting. Nino lowo, let us eat and drink, for tomorrow we die. That's not the way to live as a believer. Hello, you don't waste money. So when money begins to come, you delay gratification. If you wear tomorrow's clothes today, you'll be naked tomorrow. If you eat tomorrow's food today, you'll be hungry tomorrow. Hello, if you live tomorrow's life today, you have no life today. So the law of delayed gratification. So when people are doing all kinds of stuff, don't join them. Many of us that you see today, that you look at and say, oh, this person has money, this person is that, is because we delay gratification. As a young man growing up, when I understood what I'm sharing now, 1997 was my own turnaround. I got married first in 1997, and I came in because I got born again as a teenager. I've been around in the church since the 80s, so I just believe that everybody in church is born again. I came in with naivety, and when the woman told me, I love you the way you are, I believed. I did not know that I love you the way you are does not mean I love you to remain the way you are. I did not realize that there is no romance without finance. And I came in with full disclosure. I said, no, I'm a pastor. We just have 200 members. I've written some books, but I'm doing this. He said, no problem. No, it's not about money. I love you. God has spoken to me. I believe. Only for me to enter and now realize there's no romance without finance. You don't ever want to be there when to begin. I have been reading Bible. Timothy didn't come alive until I got married. He that cannot take care of his house is worse than an infidel. Are you a man? I'm like, hey, I'm a man of God, though. I mean, they talk to like this. On top money matter, I don't lie to you. Every money I have you, I say, hey, I became frustrated. I became depressed. I said, God, is this life? Now, so marriage they be. So I had to go to God and say, God, you need to change my story, because you must be sick and tired of being sick and tired. And God showed me the way out and began to share a lot of things with me. So you get them in the book because of time. But guess what? Once I understood that, as I began to make money, I was not frivolous. Till now, you can't see the wealth of my life in my physical appearance. You won't see it. Why? Because it's not necessary. Those things not necessary. All those, you don't need that. Now, guess what? I began to delay gratification. As I make money, I invest. As I make money, I buy land. As I make money, I buy asset. As a young man, the first set of money that I had in the days of stock markets in the early 2000, I bought my first 50 acres of land in 2001. 50 acres, started an estate. By 2003, I bought 100 acres. By 2005, I bought 200 acres. I bought 70 acres of land here in Abuja in 2008. The money that people were buying brand new car, I was buying Tokumbo. Why? Because there is a future. Now, by the time you now get to your 60s, you don't want to be jumping around looking for money. Now, 2001, that land I bought in 2001, they are still dirty now. That's 24 years ago. How many of you will wait for 24 years? The one I bought in Abuja here, 2008, is still there. I still have over 200 plots I have not sold. That's still there. So you delay gratification. When we were coming up in those days, it was title. People were collecting title of bishop this, bishop that. I said, I know they do title. Let my work speak for me. And instead of spending money to do many things, I was investing. Those delayed gratification are producing results now. So you want to become rich and wealthy? The law of delayed gratification. You see, all this one, you are just spending money to look good without a good life. It's not okay. You are fixing eyelashes, fixing nails. No problem, but have you fixed your life? Because when the chips are down, you can look beautiful, and then one useless man will be abusing your life, and you will sit down there because you cannot do anything, because you can't pay rent by yourself, you can't pay school fees by yourself. A lot of African women are in abusive marriages and they cannot go anywhere, and the man know you cannot go anywhere because he's the one sponsoring your father, your mother, and the whole of your family. And every money you get, soft life. I have soft life, soft life. Women, let me ask you a question. If your husband dies today, can you live and afford the same quality of life you have now? Can your children remain in the same school? Can you still go to summer? If you cannot, it's time to rethink your life. It's time to what? Rethink your life. Then, bro, let me come to you. Bearded gang. As you are growing beards, I hope you are growing in investments. You are going to the gym, 6-pack. You don't have 6 plot of land. You don't have 6 figure. Muscular prosperity. Is that what we are going to eat? And then the amazing thing about this generation is that you don't have ego, but you have ego. You cannot have ego and have ego. It's not possible. You need to humble yourself. So delay gratification. Number 3, because of time, is the law of savings. The law of savings. What you save today will save you tomorrow. The law of savings. What you save today will save you tomorrow. If you don't save, you are not safe. Now let me explain why saving is very important. Money is tripartite. Money is a spirit. Money has a soul. Money lives in the body. Money is a spirit. Money has a soul. Money lives in the body. The spirit of money is called mammon. That's the spirit that controls money. That's the central bank governor of the kingdom of darkness. It's the spirit that controls your thoughts, your impulses, and your desires. That's why when money comes, new desires begin to spring up. It's mammon. Now, that's why when you don't have it, you pledge it. When you have it, you struggle to give it. Because once it comes, mammoth comes with it. Now, the soul of money is the value of your currency in the marketplace. That's why national currencies have different value in the market, and they are controlled by market forces. So money is universal, but currency is geographical. The body of money is the currency of your own nation. Now, money is tripartite. Money has a past, money has a present, and money has a future. Money has a past, money has a present, and money has a future. Now listen. Every money that is going to be paid to you in your lifetime will not be paid to you once. You can't carry 35 years salary and collect it the day you resume. No. So if you're going to work for 35 years, you're going to do business for 50 years, all the money you're going to be making in the whole of your lifetime will not be paid to you once. It's going to be paid to you periodically. So it therefore means that as a salary earner, every time you are collecting that salary, your past, present, and future is inside. Are you getting it now? So when you collect that money every month, or you make that money from contract or from business, inside that money, there's Trinity there. A portion of that money belongs to your past to take care of the bills that you have already incurred. So you need to now understand that if you are paying rent and your rent is 1.2 million per annum, and you have paid for 2 years or you have paid for 1 year, as you are collecting salary every month, you must have a rent account where you will be putting 100,000, so that when 2 years reach, you won't be coming to church for welfare. You already have your rent saved up, because a portion of that money belongs to your past. A portion of that money belongs to your present to take care of your ongoing obligation. You should have enough common sense to know that when they pay you that salary, before the next one comes, it's 30 days and you will need to fuel your car. You will need to take care of your bills. So you put something aside. Then a portion of that money belongs to your future. It's called savings. So if you don't save it, that means you have eaten the future. So many of us, we are witches, because we have eaten our future. You don't chop them. And now once you eat your future, you don't have a future. So look, let's go deeper. There is really nothing called future. It's all this future. There's nothing like that. The future is a concept. The future is an ideology. Today is the tomorrow you spoke about yesterday. That future you were talking about, now you be this now. So when you come to church, my future is bright, I will get there, just they play. Your future is not bright. There is no bright future anywhere. The future you create is the future you inhabit. You won't have a bright future if you don't create the bright future. When you enter the future, you suddenly realize that the future is the same. Because 10 years ago, if they told you 10 years ago that 10 years later you will not have a car, you say, God forbid. There are many things that God forbid that your ignorance permitted. There are many things that God forbid that your habit and your attitude permits. There are many things that God forbid that life permits. 10 years later, you couldn't achieve. So if you are going to have that, so from that money, you need to now begin to save. So many times we don't understand the concept of the supernatural. The supernatural is a combination of super plus natural. The super will remain super without the natural. The natural will remain natural without the super. It's a combination, a collaboration, a conjunction of the super plus the natural that produces the supernatural. So many times when you are trusting God for a supernatural move, there is a natural component. And you need to understand that. You want to be fruitful, there is a natural component. Sex with your spouse. You want to succeed in your exam, there's a natural component. Go to school, go to library, read and prepare for the exam. So there is always a natural component. So when you say, oh God, Lord bless me with 1 million, as you are saying, Lord bless me with 1 million, in your mind you are thinking of one person just giving you the 1 million. Yes. You are thinking that someone just can say, God told me to give you 1 million. It doesn't work like that. We don't live by miracles, we live by principles. Miracles are exceptions and interruptions when principles are not working. So when you are praying, Lord give me 1 million, I need 1 million, I need 1 million, what you are thinking of is wrong. Because every time you pray, the answer to a prayer is an instruction or a direction. But we don't hear the instruction or the direction because we have been tuned by religion. So you are waiting for someone to lay hands on you to prosper. Can I lay hands on you to be a driver? Can I lay hands on you to become a medical doctor? So I will lay hands on you, just prosper, just like that. Oh God. So as you are praying for God to give you 1 million, the natural component is, can you save 100,000 every month? If you start saving 100,000 every month, 10 months later, your prayer will be answered. So that prayer, Lord give me 1 million, will release wisdom to save 100,000 a month and grace to stay with it. And 10 months later, your prayer is answered. Do you understand that now? So you need to get this. So you need to save. Everybody should save a minimum of 10% of their income. Minimum. A minimum of 10% of your income should be saved. And that will help you to have money. Let's move to the next one. Is the law of asset acquisition. The law of asset acquisition. Now please listen. Savings is not an investment. Savings is not an investment. When you are saving money, that's not investment. But savings is required in order for you to be able to invest. So the law of asset acquisition. So if you are going to become rich and wealthy, you need to acquire assets. Now listen, riches are cash based. Wealth is asset based. So when you say a man is rich, it's monetary. When you say a man is wealthy, it's assets. So any fool can be rich. You can go to government and steal all the money meant for hospital, and then you have 40 billion in your account. You are a rich man, but you are not wealthy. Because if all you have is money, you are of all men most miserable. Hello? So you can kidnap somebody and collect money and carry children for child trafficking and make money. You can be doing organ sales and make money. You see why you have to be wise as a kid? Because all these ones I'm talking about, you can't do it. So 70% of the way these people make money, you are already disqualified. That now you refuse to study and do the one that you can do. Hello? So once you understand this, savings is not an investment. You save so that you can invest. The next law is the law of what? Asset acquisition. Start acquiring assets. Many of us now, our lives are filled with liabilities. Your wardrobe is filled with suit and tie. All kinds of bag and shoe to match. Italian hair, Peruvian hair, Kuje hair, Guagualada hair. You have it in different color. An ordinary one plot you don't have. And you are jumped that the head is the Lord and the fullness thereof. The head is the Lord. Oga. If the earth is the Lord, how come he has not given you one plot? When you are not a bastard, if the earth is the Lord, you can't have one plot. Ordinary one plot. You have spent 25 years in this world, 50 years, one plot you don't have. One plot. The earth is the Lord. Please read your Bible. The heavens and the heavens belongs to God. The earth has he given to the sons of men. So the earth is the Lord by creation, but the earth belongs to men by occupation. So men, if you go and pick any plot of land now, you will discover that God is not the owner. God is not the owner. A human being will show up and say, that's my land. The earth is the Lord. The earth is the Lord. Your grandfather was a tenant. Your father is a tenant. You are a tenant. It's not a generational curse. It's a generational choice. There are only three people called Lord in this world. Jesus is Lord, the judge is Lord, the landlord is Lord. You are not a Lord until you get your portion. Hello, dominion is land, faith is land. Whosoever owns the land determines the faith that is practiced in the land. Hello, I will give you the land of the Evites. So land. So you need assets. So what's an asset? Anything that appreciates in value is an asset. Anything that appreciates in value is an asset. What's an asset? Anything that produces cash flow is an asset. Anything that appreciates in value is an asset. Anything that produces cash flow is an asset. So, because of time, I'm going to add some things at this point and jump to point 7, and then we'll close. Now listen. Once you begin to save and you start acquiring assets, few other things you need to do that are in that class is what we call investing. So you need to start investing. Now, savings is setting money aside for a purpose. Investing is sending money on assignment for a return. So you start acquiring assets, you start investing. So you can start investing in what we call the capital market or money market. Now, when we talk about the capital market, we're talking about you buying the stocks or shares of a traded company. But when we talk about money market, we're talking of different things. We're talking of fixed deposit, we're talking of bonds, we're talking of treasury bills, we're talking of mutual funds, we're talking of you sending that money on assignment, so that instead of the money sitting in your bank and wasting away, you are putting the money to work. So that instead of you working hard for money, money is working hard for you. And then one thing you must always have at the back of your mind at this point is cash flow. Someone say cash flow. That's what you should be having at the back of your mind. What can I do that will continue to produce cash flow? So if I'm buying an asset, so for instance now, if you begin to think cash flow, you may not have money to buy a house at the beginning, so you may start with land. So instead of doing cash banking, you do land banking. But you see, land is an asset, but it does not produce cash flow until it becomes a house that produces rent or income. Do you understand? So you have to be thinking cash flow, which is the ultimate of where you are going to. But if you are acquiring assets, the asset may not be able to produce cash flow, but you start from there while you are working towards a point where it can now produce cash flow. Because when you say you are financially free or you are financially independent, what financial independence really means is that you have enough assets and investments that produces enough cash flow that takes care of everything that you need and give you a leftover. Then you are financially free. Do you understand that? So it means that if, for instance, now you need 5 million a month, that means you need 60 million per annum. So if you have an investment now that gives you 120 million per annum, you are free. So it's not about amassing billion. No. It's just you are free, because whether you work or not, the investment and the asset is producing what will take care of you. So let's now close with the final law, the law of covenant compliance. The law of covenant compliance. I am amazed when I see a lot of people come into the church, become a part of the church, and then argue about covenant obligation. Listen and listen well. In this kingdom, you are too small to be the purpose of God for your life. You are too small. Purpose is greater than you. When you become a part of this kingdom, money is nothing but a tool for the fulfillment of purpose. It says, I'm the one that gives you power to get wealth, that I may establish my covenant. So for you to be in the kingdom and then you are comparing yourself with those that are not in the kingdom, you are not operating in wisdom. You say, Jeff Bezos does not pay tithe, Elon Musk does not pay tithe. Do you know them? Have you seen them before? Do you have a relationship with them? Go and do your research. There is no rich or wealthy man on earth that does not give. Not one. Giving is a law for wealth creation. So whether you are born again or not, generosity, so they call it generosity, corporate social responsibility, giving back, mission, well, they call it all kinds of names, philanthropy, but everybody must give. Everybody must give. So when you come into the kingdom, we may call it forceful, we may call it tithe, we may call it welfare, we may call it prophetic offering, whatever name, forget the nomenclature, be a giver. The law of covenant compliance. There is a sea called the Dead Sea. And one of the reasons why it's called the Dead Sea is because it's a sea that receives water from many water bodies but does not have any outlet. A living church is a giving church. A living believer is a giving believer. So when you are truly a child of God, I don't understand how you can truly claim that you are born again and the love of God is shed abroad in your heart, and to give is a problem to you. I don't understand. Because are you going to eat the money? When COVID came, what did you do with all those cars and all those clothes? Hello? You are just amassing things. It's because there is no transformation. When you are truly transformed, you will realize that there is a joy that comes when your life is transforming life. There is a joy that comes when people are going to school and you know that these people, because of me, they can pay their school fees. Because of me, these widows can be taken care of. Because of me, this person can eat. Do you know how many people go a whole day without food? And then you come to church, you sit down there, and they said they just have to have money. Which money? You that can die today and not wake up tomorrow? The breath in your nose, who gave it to you? Hello? So listen and listen what the law of covenant compliance. When you come into the kingdom, you become a kingdom citizen. And we have a kingdom constitution. And in that kingdom constitution, we have kingdom culture. In this kingdom, we pray. In this kingdom, we love. In this kingdom, we are holy. In this kingdom, we serve. In this kingdom, we evangelize. In this kingdom, we give. In this kingdom, we are humble. So there are principles of the kingdom. So you cannot come to the kingdom and then be arguing about kingdom principle. You need to learn what is the culture of this kingdom. In this kingdom, you can be a CEO or a governor. When you come here, you can be an usher or be in the car park. Why? Because in this kingdom, whatever you think you have, I forget everything and I count it as loss for the excellency of knowing him, that I may know him. So when you come into this kingdom, you come understanding the culture. You can't travel to London now and be arguing. Why will you people be driving on the wrong side of the road? I don't agree. London have existed before you were born. You can't change them. You must align. You can't get no. What do you mean? I do naira. I don't do pounds. I don't do pounds. I do naira. In London, you will return home. You cannot go to a school where they wear white. You saw the uniform before you applied. You now got to say, why must I wear white? I don't believe in white. It's messing with my mental health. Yeah? Are you all right? So the law of covenant compliance. When you come into this kingdom, you tithe, you give, you are generous. And guess what? Everybody pays title. I hope you know. You either pay to God, or you pay to the devil, or you pay to your flesh. Because all the tithes you refuse to pay, where's your Bentley? Where's your Rolls Royce? You are still poor without paying it. Hello? Listen to me. What 90% cannot do, the 10 will not make a difference. The 10 will not make a difference. But you see, the amazing thing is that 10% is not really your problem, or mammon is your problem. It's not 10% that is your problem, because you are intelligent enough to know that. If you get 100,000 a month, your tithe is 10,000. But when you go to salon to fix your nails, you spend more than that. When you go out with the boys, you spend more than that. When you go out with your girl, hey girlfriend, you go to the cinema, you spend more than that. And you don't think anything. Even your friend can say, hey babe, I need like 10K from you. And there will no problem, I will send it to you now. It's not a problem because you think you're a good person. So the 10,000 that is supposed to be your tithe is small in a restaurant, small in a saloon, small in a cinema. But when you now put it in an envelope to give it to God, it becomes, what are they going to do with my money? What if I give this money? But it's not you, it's mammon. It just shows how much mammon has a hold over you. Because you see, listen and listen well. Anything that God places a demand on becomes a point of contention. That's the issue. It's mammon. You see, look, you can go a whole day without eating. Yes, sir. And you'll be okay. Yes. But if we declare fasting now, by 6 a.m., 8 a.m., you wake up hungry. Food is not the problem. Every time God says fast, it becomes a point of contention. It has now become a spiritual thing. It has become an altar. At that point, there are contentions in the spirit. That's why you wake up hungry. So every time you are struggling to give, it shows the high rate of mammon in operation in your life. So you want to become rich and wealthy? Flow with all these principles. God will take care of you.